Hello everybody, and welcome to the 2020 edition of Havenshire Holidays, the walkthrough video. This is our 6th year doing the display. We use Light-O-Rama software. It is a combination RGB pixel display with traditional AC lights, using the Showtime 5 sequencer this year. We had just over 4,500 pixels and 12,000 traditional lights. A couple things we did differently this year, being that with the pandemic and all, and I just really wanted to get as much out there as we could. We put a lot of more lights out than we traditionally would do, wrapping a bunch of trees with lights and bushes. Went farther into the neighbor's yard this year than we normally would do. So rather than trying to incorporate that into sequencing, I did some groups of just animation sequences running separate from the show. So for instance, over on this side, we've got a bunch of 2-channel mini Coro trees that incorporate white, a channel of just white, and then a channel of colored. So there's like 2 blue, 2 green, 2 red. So that's 16 channels. So rather than programming that, I just did a simple animation sequence and have it running on a Light-O-Rama box over there on the side. Same thing with our Mickey prop. It's just running a background animation sequence, not incorporated with the show. It helped with running out of time and sequencing at the end too. One of the bads this year was that I upgraded to the S5 sequencer, and everything didn't import from the visualizer as nicely as I would have wanted with the into the preview, the props. So I just ended up writing all new sequences this year and wasn't able to load in any of the old ones, which was a bummer. Something I'll still work on. But so again, to save time, the only thing that was sequenced this year for our main show was the house and the trees, the twig trees, the arches, and the singing trees. So to recap from what has changed, or what we already have, we have a Falcon F16 V2 that runs most of the pixels. It's right there in the house, and it does the windows, the roof lines, the matrix. There's 4 differential receiver boards that come off of it. One is up there in the upper right hand of the house. One is the upper left hand off the garage there. And then there's 2 that are doing the twig trees. So there's a box there, and then there's another box there. Because they're 4-port, and each port, like down here, goes to a twig tree. So I've got 4 trees there, and then the other 4 there. Then we also use the F16 V2 for the DMX outputs, the bridge, and 2 of the outputs go to so our arches are the original Light-O-Rama Cosmic Color ribbons, the CCRs. Each ribbon does 2 arches, so we got 8 arches across, and it goes up 1 arch and continues over up for the second one. So each ribbon does 2 arches, so 2, 4, 6, 8, and I put 2 CCRs on 1 universe. So one port comes out, or one DMX output comes out, goes to one box. Each one of these boxes has the original CCR, the controller, and the power supply. Hooks up to a ribbon. It goes 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's one output, and then I have another output off of the Falcon, and it would hit the other two over here. Over on this side, also when I was talking about the just stuff on background animation sequences, I did that with our traditional AC Mega Tree, which has seen better days. Still figuring out what we're going to do with it. It's a lot of work, and I don't think it looks that great. I don't have that many lights on it anyways, but there's another box there. There are a total of 6 Light-O-Rama boxes we use. And then we have another box over here for static on channels. We've got, here's a box here. You know, we've got like our Tune 2 signs, the fence lighting on the outside, you know, neighbor's shrub there. Neighbor's shrub there. And then also, you know, we got a bunch of miscellaneous stuff out here that I let my son put out. Again, just trying to get as many lights out there this year as we could, which worked out okay. We have 2 Light-O-Rama boxes for our singing trees here. This is the backside view. There's one here. SBT cord to just make the connections there. Then 8 cords continue over to the second tree to make the connections for the second one. So it's that. And then here's another same thing box. Does these ones here, and then that there. These singing trees are new to us this year. They were picked up from a friend, Ryan, in Buffalo, New York, who was getting rid of them. He had he's switching over to RGB, and these are traditional AC props. So I was able to pick them up. I modified them a little bit to better suit how I wanted to lay them out and stand them up. Switch them all over to LED lights. A lot of these are creative displays, CDI lights, LEDs. Some of them are store-bought strands in there too from Lowe's. Warm white. Came out really good. You can't really tell much of difference with the different brand of the white lights in them, but they were a big hit this year. Everyone really liked them, and the hardest part was just sequencing them. I just bought pre-made sequences. I didn't have time to get into learning to sequence singing fixtures myself this year. I'll have to look into that. Papagayo I've heard about, and some others. So those are also 2 other traditional Light-O-Rama controllers there. Jesus, Mary, Joseph statue. It's been there many years. Got some snowflake lights in the trees. Right up there. So the other equipment that I do use, we still have our PixCon 16 pixel controller from Light-O-Rama that is controlling our pixel tree. 16 outputs of 50 pixels, and then just a basic 25 pixel star from Boscoyo, strips from them as well. To recap the different vendors I use Light-O-Rama. A lot of my pixel lights and equipment from DIY LED Express. The controllers Falcon Christmas for the F16 V2. The holiday, or the singing trees are holiday Coro with the Coro board, and then you just pop in the lights. And then I end up getting a lot from other, members of the lighting community that are either downgrading or looking to get rid of stuff. So that's helped out to acquire a lot of stuff too. The bad things, what worked out, well, let's start with good. What worked out good this year, again, another good solid year with limited GFI trips. I've had some years where it was really bad. We only had one day that was just kept on tripping the GFI. It was a soaking rain, and it was the singing trees had a connection that was getting wet, power connection. I found that the next morning. So the GFIs weren't as bad. There's no incandescent lights this year, so I didn't have any pulsing of lights inside the house. When you have a heavy draw, you would get the and the lights would be dimming inside the house. I didn't have to worry about this year. We upgraded. I had 4 incandescent arches, and I got rid of those this year, and I picked up from Paul, again, another person who was downsizing, from King Christmas. He had these the arches, so I picked up these arches from him that he was getting rid of. So no incandescent lights in the display this year, so that's pretty neat. As far as other failures, there was some pixel failures. I got and tried out the 3M Scotch lock connectors, which make quick work for repairs. I highly recommend them to do repairs on the fly. Splice the connector, and let's see what else was good. Everyone liked the lights. It was a tough year with the pandemic. Everyone's looking to come out for the lights. We participated in a local effort for a Christmas lights tour home for Bavona Child Advocacy Center, which is a very worthy cause. So we participated, and they put our house on the map that was given out to fundraiser boxes, sleigh boxes that contain maps of all the houses to check out. So between that and the pandemic, everyone just wanting to get out in general, and this is our 6th year. People are really knowing about us. We did have a great deal of more traffic this year, so that worked out pretty nice. And it was just good. Everyone enjoyed, the singing trees and all that came with it. So that was good. Talking about the bad, a couple things. Obviously, I underestimated the conversion effort that would be needed to go from S4 to S5. Everything didn't import the way I was liking it to. I couldn't get any of the old sequences to load up, so therefore I just had to make new sequences, which took time. I purchased Superstar license. I wanted to sequence for the Pixel Matrix and the Pixel Tree, and just never found the time to touch the Superstar. So far that was a waste, but I'll have to dig into it for next year. First year we really had problems. We had a squirrel that chewed through a Cat 5 line, and that's why I had to swap out that cable. And then I ran a speaker, which I've never done before, just a rock speaker out there for people walking by to listen to the music. And a rabbit chewed through the wire. What I did was I just took some old telephone wire that was laying around. See, I still have the line down here. He chewed right through it. Because I've got in the garage, I have the receiver that runs to speakers. So here's a line right here. We also put some speakers here on the porch, which works out okay, except for when you're trying not to hear anything inside the house. Being right up on the house, you do hear those. So I wanted to just get the speaker right out to the street, and then we don't have to hear that noise. In the garage is just the transmitter, a SignStec ST05B the standard half watt transmitter. Works out great. Pretty much just your standard. Like I said, here's the transmitter in the garage. So up on the shelf. Here's a stereo receiver and then a selector switch so I can do the speaker out in the yard or the patios or the ones here in the garage, or if it's a party, just turn it all on. And then these connections are fed up from the basement. You know, I just made a connection down up into there and up into here. No issues. And I just left it on for 32 days straight. I didn't even put on a timer to power down, power up. I just left it and it's working like a champ. The computer's still down in the basement, and that runs the show. I did a lot of networking work this year to make it easier, not only for the show, but for the house network. And I have cameras that are power over Ethernet, so I'm able to just, what I did was I built a power patch panel in the basement, which I'll get down there and show you, and then I just ran connections everywhere. So just to make it easier for setup and hiding wires and whatnot. So being that I do the same setup every year, and I have a connection box up here, the receiver board, I just put a port which will stay up there all year round. So just do a quick connect in there, and it runs over to in here. I built, let's see if I can get down there, where it holds a bunch of outputs right there. Another connection point right there. There is one up there, if you can see it. It's hard to focus in, but there is one up there. Just makes it easy, especially if you're not changing things from year to year. And then, like I said, I have multiple ports off of that down there, so if I want to do more with it, I can. I just have this the RS485 for the Light-O-Rama network with the 2 ports. So one port heads out. There's a connection point on the outside of the garage over there. Hits that side of the yard. And then I do one to out here. And it went out to the mega tree. And then it continued over to that box. And then it hit the singing Christmas trees. So you can definitely do multiple boxes off of one adapter. But if I wanted to run different adapters, if I want one to be higher speed, if I want one to be enhanced LOR, I could do that if I wanted to. So I definitely have the flexibility there. Another thing that didn't work so good this year was I had more failures with the DIY LED Express, the Pixa bulbs. I use the Pixa bulbs on the rooftop because they're taller, and then they can help blend in or they'll help still show even through if we get some snow, which we had a couple bouts with. But I had the ones that did the gutter lines, I had to finally take out. I was just having way too many failures. They're a couple years old. It must have been a bad year. And I was just getting tired of swapping them out. I didn't have many more left. So I trashed the gutter lines of the Pixa bulbs and just put in the regular bullet nodes into the standard trim, and just went down the roof or the gutter lines, which was a little bit of different look, but it worked out okay. I think I'm probably just for most everything else just gonna stick with the bullet nodes. It's a lot easier for swap out and less failures. I don't know what it was, like I said, if it was a bad batch or whatnot, or if it's that the lens caps are knocked a little off and it collects moisture, water underneath, which eventually leads to failure. But luckily, I didn't have problems this year with the existing ones. The ones going up the sides and the ridges were from a year or two later, so I think there must have been just a bad year with them or whatnot, but they are more expensive and whatnot, and just if I just get the standard bullet nodes, it would maybe just save me the hassle. I did mention we also still have our floodlights, which are still working good. They go off a DMX output as well, off of the Falcon. So I have 11 floodlights. There's one down there, but the others are permanently mounted on the house, facing down. So there's 4 up there. There's 3 across the garage. And then there's one tucked up there. There's one right there. And then there's one right there that are all custom. They're 20 volts converted from these LED floodlight fixtures. And then there's the box. It's just off of a SPI DMX controller. Very simple, works good. I know this year it's been on everyone's mind a couple things. Pixel failures. We're seeing a lot of issues with Raywu pixels failing, causing fires. That's obviously something to be concerned about. We don't put too much on the house because I don't want to get up there in the winter anyways and have something blow off or put weight on the roof. And we don't, hopefully they get to the bottom of it if it's a manufacturing issue or if it has to do with the way they're laid out or whatnot. Nothing that we have out there is really dense with pixels. I see some of the props and they're talking about 1,000 pixels off of one port and power injection and F amps and all this other stuff. Well, when I started doing pixels 4 or 5 years ago, we didn't nothing was set up with things like just data off of the board. Everything is powered through the board. There is some power injection, yes, like these. So our pixel trees here, the twig trees, 4 ports, 4 trees, but then each one gets a power injection at the end because there are 170 bullets on each tree. They spiral up, so you get your power and data come in off the ground, start spiraling all the way around, but 170 nodes is a lot, so it's almost at the end, come in at one point, and then I do hit it with power injection. So there's a connection here. The green one is meets in to inject power. So that is there's not a whole lot of it going on. I'll have to consider if I see that's a thing to do now, is just pull the data off of the board and everything is just fed power differently. But that's just not what we were doing at the time when we were building this stuff. So, things change. Another thing here, obviously there's no snow out here now, but we do have up here in New York, we got a lot of snow, a lot of moisture. Cords are laying on the ground. Always a problem with moisture getting in the connection, so I try to dielectric grease them. I use all these pigtails and extensions from DIY LED Express. Seems to work pretty good. I wanted something that was nice and thick and would offer protection. Some moisture still finds a way to get inside, and once it does into the connection, it starts I don't know what's going on in there, if it's oxidizing or whatever, but it starts, blackening up inside, corroding up in the connection. And I'll show you a picture here in a few of, I've had a couple of the pins actually break off of the connectors. So, but the cool thing was, the interesting thing I'll say is that because I'm pretty sure it was the power one, the 12 volt power, because of the power injection cord also sending in 12 volt power, the tree was able to keep on going and seemingly fine, even though it wasn't getting the power from the front end. It was getting it from the back end, and that was enough to supplement a weak connection. Because as I pull off I open up the connector because I know that something's going on in there. That's usually the cause. And, you know, some water starts coming out, and I start blowing out the connector, and I see it's blackened in there. And all of a sudden I see that one of the pins is completely corroded off. So I just thought it was kind of interesting, but it kind of shows that this was the, was it the 4th year for those connectors that I'm probably going to have to replace them now. I don't know what everyone else gets out of their props with the life of their actual pixels or the wiring, but I'm going to have to start looking into some of that stuff. You know, all my window frames are basic square node pixels, and you know, I don't know how many more years am I going to get out of them. When do you start to see failures really high? They've been pretty rock solid so far. The Light-O-Rama cosmic color bulbs, it's had some fading, but it's still been rock solid. You know, what point am I going to have to deal with replacements of those? So just things to think about, you know, every year when everyone says, oh, you're going to expand, you're going to add more, and I'm trying to say, well, you know, I got to account for what I'm going to have to fix. Here on the side of the garage, I forgot to show, there's the connection point down there for that one there. But I think I'm going to add another one because there really should be 2 to this side. I'm going to probably continue. I like just using the regular Light-O-Rama network if I can. So I'm going to have one for RS-485 out to this side, and then one for the E131. So that way I can have both, because I still have, you know, combination of both out here. So, all right, yeah, let me show you the patch panel inside and warm back up. It's cold out here. So this is kind of command central here in the basement. Nothing too fancy, but yeah, Windows PC running the show. I have a monitor so I can watch my cameras from right here too. And then here's the network rack that I built, which I highly recommend. I think it's a great idea. I added a lot of ports around the house. There wasn't a lot in this house originally, so it's going up to all the bedrooms, outside, everywhere. So I had the 16 port, which I'm not even using all of them, but just room for expansion. And I've got a switch down there. So obviously, and then I have my cable modem. The internet comes in. Here's the cameras, Z-Moto. And then, I know it's not the cleanest looking at all, but here's a basic router that I have for the show, for the E131. So that way I can send it to multiple ports wherever I need. And then I have an RS-485 adapter right here. I have that going to, like I said, to 2 ports outside. It's just nice having all this equipment inside, I think, where I don't have to worry about if it's going to get wet or destroyed or cold or whatever. And then I have, like I said, I always have great flexibility, whether something's not communicating as well and I want to split up the Light-O-Rama controllers. I can easily just plug in another adapter and separate it off, or try to troubleshoot that way or whatnot. I do have a bunch of extra adapters, and then I do have stuff, you know, I have that I can do even some DMX outputs if I don't want to run it off of a pixel controller. So I definitely have flexibility with doing this all down here. So that's about it. Any questions? You know, leave me a message and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.